This is Miss Heather from the High School Counseling Office, and I'm going to take you through a webinar version of the Grade 11 Junior University Night, where we welcomed the class of 2021 to launch their university process. I am speaking on behalf of my colleague Ian Lally, who was there in person, and we work in true partnership to support students to apply to universities outside of Chile. So we wanted to welcome you and launch this process, but also let you know we are very dedicated to completing the senior process right now. So while we are launching this process, we wanted to remind you that semester 2 in February is when we will return and dedicate our time to the class of 2021, where we will be launching many programmatic elements that you'll be hearing about, as well as meet with students and families individually. So this is just a launch to kick things off, but we are going to take the next 3 weeks of the semester to complete the nearly 450 applications for the seniors. So we're excited, and here we go. In addition to Mr. Lally and I, who will be your primary partnership to lead you and your family on this university journey, we have many other key collaborators in the high school that support this process. Claire Perry will be supporting the university counseling program in the research phase and in the implementation and writing phase of the applications. Miss Ale in the high school office is a key player in moving this process along from an administrative point of view. Then we also have really important partnerships with Ms. Naligach and Mr. Supli regarding those students pursuing national plan diplomas as well as IB diplomas. And then, of course, across the high school, students are in community with their peers in advisory, as well as those grade level advisors and high school teachers who serve in advisory to pay attention to their overall academic, social, emotional well-being and their pathway to graduation. So a really important crew that is interested in each and every post-Nido plan from our students. No question, everyone is familiar with what's really on a student's plate, certainly into the junior year. They're studying hard, they're getting engaged in things that interest them, volunteering, sports, the arts, clubs and organizations. It is a vibrant, busy life here at Nido. We also would like to remind you and give everyone permission that family and friends also play a huge role and should be a real source of inspiration and support during this time when they have to have one foot in the here and now and are now beginning to really look ahead and make choices for their future. And these are kind of the most trusted groups that one know each student the best and can help them celebrate and kind of suffer through the various phases of this really complex and important rite of passage that college is. This is the big question, and it's worth the year and a half of struggle to answer what is next. Everyone graduates from Nido with a post-Nido plan. We are not here to tell you what the correct plan is for you, but we are going to start on a journey of having every student reflect on who they are, what they care about, why that matters, and to let them know the options that exist. This is less of a transaction. You do this, you do these steps, this happens to you, and more of a transformation. This is really thinking hard about and putting the blinders on about who am I, why does that matter, and how in the world, where in the world can I find some place, some community, some program that will help me become the next best version of myself. It's an exciting time, and truly the value proposition of a university application process is not the outcome, the admit, the deny, the wait list. It's about the thinking that no one ever can take away from any student about who they are, what they value, why that matters, to truly understand the privilege, the power that they're going to have to make a positive difference in the world. Parents are a critical partner in this process as well, and they can be a really important component in helping students manage the stress that can come with this added layer of growing up. And, here's what the professionals suggest you can do. It's not to do the work for your child, but to listen without interrupting, respond thoughtfully, and show empathetic listening. You're hearing what it is that they say, and to temper your emotions, to allow other emotions that might be high to come out. But that's it. It doesn't say that you need to have all the answers, that you have to do all the work, but it does mean that you have to show up and be available for your kids, to listen, not fix anything, not solve any problems, but be thoughtful in your responses, and to not get yourself in the middle of kind of this emotional tangle that university applications can create. All right, so we are suggesting that the university process can be stressful. It doesn't have to be, but it's more on already a full plate. It's super important that students get sleep. Students are balanced in kind of their focus on the here and now and what they need to do to plan for the future. Scheduling is very important for everybody to be on the same page about what it is that they're doing when. You've heard over and over from a wellness point of view that exercise is really important, limiting screen time and actually creating spaces where academic study happens, where recreational gaming or screen time happens, and we hope that you can separate the two. And food is really important. So if in fact you haven't thought about these items intentionally in a while, it's time to kind of refocus on those and agree as a family about how to make some healthy choices that will minimize the stress of this process. So if you were to make 3 commitments, we suggest these. One is that you commit to structure your lives, their lives, in such a way they can get a meaningful amount of sleep, that they actually create a way to calendar all of their obligations, their academic time, their recreational time, their exercise time, their studying time, and it's that you can find it all in one place. There's no right answer. It could be analog, it could be digital, but the idea that an agenda and a calendar is important is really comes into play here. And a commitment there's a balance to be found, that nothing is worth pouring yourself into preparing for the future if in fact you can't maintain your health or happiness in the present. So balance is an important ideal to set out to achieve, and then you can kind of test each other. But your role as a family and your role as parents in these commitments will make a big difference into the success of the whole process between now and graduation. Because this is what we're asking kids to do. It's fun, it's scary, it's complicated, and it takes some time to sort through. So we're asking kids what their dream is, and then asking and advising them on what it might take to get there. Mr. Lally and I like to characterize our role in 2 ways. The first is in true partnership. My love is Latin ballroom dancing, and in many career searches over his lifetime as an adult, Mr. Lally has often been advised to become a professor of dance choreography if school counseling didn't work out, which makes it a neat partnership for us. But we are, in fact, in this partnership with students who are applying to college. And we're the lead at this moment. Students are the follow, but nonetheless, there will be no dragging. There will be no dancing for you. We certainly are intimately aware of the choreography. However, we're interested in leading our partners, each individual student, with more comprehensive steps or more improvisational spirit, depending upon who the dancer is. Every kid's going to have a different dance floor, different music, different background experiences, etc. And as we work together over time, our partnership will mature. And if we are, the counselor and student, are the one dancing, the parents are on the side spectating, if this were in fact a playing field. You can't dance for your child, but you can certainly admire their efforts. We are also playing the role of coach as we are asking students very specifically to tell us what their goals are, and we will help them develop their potential. We will let them know the work that needs to be done in order to increase the probability of reaching their goal. We are here to keep them honest, call them on it when they need it. Be the love, be the nag, be the motivator, because we are very experienced in helping the dreams become concrete plans to go from the beginning of one season to the next. We can't emphasize enough the core values which inform our counseling every day. The first is that every student is unique. You didn't hear us say every student is their test score or GPA, and they are certainly not like maybe your older siblings, kids if you have them, or they certainly are not recreating your particular university process. First of all, the landscape has changed in university admissions globally, and certainly every student with a certain set of grades or courses or test scores is bringing something very unique to the table, and you'll see how those qualitative factors come out. Our primary goal is fit. Our primary goal is not admissions just to have admissions. Students are at Nido primarily because their parents think it's a great idea. And now there is an opportunity to use the world, to search the world for learning environments, communities that will make any particular student thrive. And so it's really important to investigate how it is, why it is that you thrive, students that is, and we will help you find a university environment that does that for you. We're interested in students being the absolute center of this process, that they are going to know the work that needs to be done. They will step into this process and make decisions on their own and stand behind those. That it will be nobody can control in many cases the outcome of admissions, but they will stand behind the applications that they submit, and they will not regret decisions that they made along the way. And finally, it's really important that because they are figuring out that they are incredible human beings before any college admissions come in or after any denial comes in, and they can somehow weather these kind of big votes of confidence that they get when some college admits them, and weather the kind of evaluation they believe they have just been handed when a college does not. But this is not the last time they are going to throw their heart out for public evaluation. When you want a job, you have to apply. When you want a role, you have to audition. When you want research money, you have to create a proposal. When you would like to have something published, you have to create a manuscript that somebody will deem appropriate or not, a good fit or not. And there will be a lot of no's, but it doesn't mean that you can't understand how to make your best effort and keep coming back and going for what it is that you love based on what it is that you value. We talk a lot about values in the university process. Who are you? Why does that matter? And why is that a great fit for any particular university? And there is not one, there are many, but it's important to know that universities have values too, and that you can make these intelligent connections between the two. We're taking this up to another level in the way that we speak about university in general, but really thinking hard about why is university a step on the way to you leading a purposeful life. It's not just why this university, but why university at all. The investment in their time and effort is going to be extreme, as is often the financial investment on someone's part, and it's really worth thinking about how is university in general an important step on a purpose in a purposeful life, meaningful to you, consequential to the world. This connects to a lot of purpose-driven discussions that are happening in advisory this year after adopting an advisory curriculum called Project Wayfinder, which gets kids asking these important questions. We encourage families to have many heart-to-heart talks about university that focus on 4 things, not all at once, but maybe over time. It's important for each party at the table to bring what they believe are truly non-negotiables to be revealed as early as possible. Parents get non-negotiables, students get non-negotiables, family members, and whomever else is going to be an important part of this process. Everybody needs to understand what are kind of the bare minimum, the key values on which you will make university decisions. Financial constraints are really important to reveal very early on. It's important to say the number. How much money is there to spend to invest in a university education for your kids? It's not appropriate to tell a student, well, let's just see, and ask students and counselors to do a great deal of work to get admitted to a school that nobody intended to afford. Money is a very, very important variable to talk about objectively, without judgment, without apology, very early on in the process. Students, you're going to be asked over and over again, what are the specific criteria that will make a school a good fit for you? And through your research, you will help convince your parents and counselors that you know what you're talking about. And it's important over time to be very realistic about what's the likelihood of your admissions, your likelihood of thriving, your likelihood of attending based on affordability and programmatic fit. So this is a heart-to-heart talk that can be that can happen over and over again over the next year and a half. All right, now to the students. So students generally have kind of three big bubbles that are overlapping in some way to create a strong university fit. At Nido, students will have quantitative components that they will present to a university, a transcript which will share courses taken, grades in those core courses, semester letter grades. If the student is pursuing an IB course or the full IB diploma, a student might have predicted grades in those IB courses, and then some number of values related to testing, whether it's university-specific testing or standardized testing or English proficiency testing. And there is no right answer about how those quantitative elements should look. It's based on the high school's program, and colleges accept those at face value. Then there is all the wonderfully intangible items that make you you. That is how you spend your time when you're not asleep or studying. Those are those qualitative evaluations by adults that are close to you, trusted adults in the classroom, trusted adults in employment or internships, trusted adults in your extracurriculars, and finally, your voice that many, many universities around the world are very interested in hearing. You're going to write about what matters to you and why. And then, of course, all of these variables, the quantitative and qualitative elements, are taken in a global context. Many world universities are qualifications based, that if your quantitative elements fit, then you have a high likelihood of being admitted. However, more and more, the US absolutely, and more world systems every year are contextualizing you in terms of the applicant pool and the kind of community they would like to create, that based on some generalized quantitative minimums that you might meet, then they choose to build a community in a class around these qualitative factors. So we'll explore those today a little bit. This is just to briefly show you that all the incredible energy that goes into a Nido education does get boiled down to one sheet of paper. This is what we call a student's head on a piece of paper. It will share any number of years that you spend at Nido from grade 9 with your courses listed and grades in semester 1 and in semester 2. Don't worry, we don't share this transcript as an internal document. This is how we communicate with the outside world about what happened at Nido. And so every junior, semester 2, we will kick off our junior seminar series with every student getting one of these to see what their head looks like on paper and how that might be fit to an academic profile of any institution worldwide. Okay, and then finally, how kind of those intangibles get categorized, and be thinking also for students, what's left? What time is left in my Nido experience, and how might I choose to spend that time over the thousands of activities we've seen over the years, and how we help kids basically, if the transcript is their head on a piece of paper, this activities profile is kind of their heart, because really they should be doing things that mean something to them. We've kind of categorized activities into 4 groups. Passion projects. Passion is kind of a dicey word, but it's about what you would do because nobody made you do it, or you're not going to get compensated in any way with a grade or a financial reward or something like that. Everybody's got rock star achievements. What are you good at? We tend to do things we're good at, and everybody deserves to know what those rock star achievements are. And you might have some measures out in the world that tell you you're good at something. Do you have a record? Do you have a first place trophy? Do you have some data which shows why you are better at this than someone else in your school community, in your region, in your country, etc. Activities that are impactful on anybody might in fact be these one-hit wonders. Something you do that was transformative, but you're likely going to not do it again. This might be related to a travel experience, maybe a week without walls, maybe a summer course, maybe a lecture or a cultural event that you attended that really made an impact, but it's not something you can pursue over time. And we encourage anybody at this time in their high school career to eliminate activities in category 4, meaning I've played piano for 14 years, but I really hate it. Students generally can get exposed and engaged in things because it was someone else's idea, and now it's really time to boil this down to things that are really about them. The formula about activities or engagement is never about what you do. Do you need to be well-rounded? Do you have to play a sport? Do you have to do music? Do you have to do something academic? The answer is it needs to basically reflect what it is that the student cares about, what it is that they're curious about, how are they pursuing their interest. Nido and students who attend Nido have an incredible amount of exposure, resources, privilege to get exposed to all kinds of interesting things. But then once you stay involved in something, it's about, why did that matter? What kind of an impact did I intend to have? How might I measure my impact? Why did it matter that I was in any given sport, or the president of a club, or a member of this honors organization? And in fact, do you understand the variables that help you understand? Did you make an influence, not only during your time here at Nido, but might you leave a legacy after you're gone? So along with the quantitative head on a piece of paper, this engagement profile helps colleges learn more about these intangible variables thereafter. Okay, let's think about, now we're going into the whys, wheres, whens about the application process. You will hear us over and over again talk about why to apply. And we are going to start with the junior process about helping discover that question. And it comes from knowing yourself, not knowing about the rank or prestige of a particular institution or a particular program, or how much money you might make after that program. We are going to squarely root this why question in each individual student. Okay, so we don't have to say more than that. But here's then the question also begins, is the beginning of our research. It's like, where? Where in the world? You're not talking about, you haven't heard us say what school yet, but where? And to know that students at Nido apply all over the world. We had students apply to nearly 200 world universities in the class of 2009. So here's information about the class of 2019 applications, and then where students matriculated or where they enrolled. Almost 450 applications were submitted to 193 different world universities outside of Chile. About 141 of those universities admitted our students. And ultimately, 67 world universities enrolled a student in 11 countries from Nido. So you can see that although the same names, the same countries might come up over and over again in conversation, through intense personal reflection and a lot of expert guidance from Mr. Lally and I, we help students see there are many, many ways to become the next best version of yourself. How do we help students decide where to apply? Many, many tools are used and a lot of time is invested. We have an incredible new platform in which we put the counseling program, and it's called Maya Learning. It has an incredible amount of data embedded in it, and we'll be using surveys and research and documents inside this platform to build a set of data, a set of documents, a set of knowledge that kids will use at a variety of times, where to apply, and ultimately where to enroll. We are going to call the program around which students research where to apply the University Quest program, and this happens in semester 2. We're going to have a flex time seminar series. We are going to have multi-day research workshops. We are going to engage in a tutorial process with each student, individually and cohorting students who have similar goals. We are going to begin the essay writing process at the end of semester 2. We are going to cohort kids together around workshops related to programs and countries, and we are going to try to be as available as we can to answer questions from parents along the way. So we've talked about why, we've talked about where, and here is a little bit about when. The junior year, second semester, is all about where and why. The senior year, semester 1, is all about when, and you can see that it will begin in July, and nearly any country process that you enter is going to end in December. We have an internal deadline of December 1st for all world university applications. That's because based on our intimate understanding of the Nido calendar, the Southern Hemisphere vacation schedule, the Northern Hemisphere academic calendar, the overlap with the IB, Week Without Walls, SAC, DAC8 break, we have determined that the Nido internal deadline is basically December, whether you're applying to the US, the UK, Canada, most of Europe, and most of Asia. So we are going to continue to hammer home that Nido is following its own internal calendar, regardless of which published online. Standardized testing, you've heard a little bit about it, and the grade 11s have been doing perfectly, that this first semester is about diagnostic testing. You haven't heard from us about that you should be sitting official exams, that you should be buying test preparation materials, because it's worth investing time in understanding which test is going to be right for you. So you can see just broadly the calendar is 2020 is when we are encouraging juniors to sit official exams. For those pursuing the SAT, there are a few dates. The SAT subject tests, generally in the senior year. For the ACT, also a few dates. And English language proficiency can happen really at any time. But we are going to work with juniors before the end of semester 1 to launch them into their test preparation cycle and then their official testing when they come back in semester 2. So more on that later. The when and the how to apply is all about focusing on senior year. We're going to have many ways to engage in the process so that we are here to guide you, not do the work. But we have senior university night to kick off the execution of applications. We have a university counseling seminar in the block that students can opt into as an elective. This year we ran 5 blocks of the university counseling seminar and enrolled probably nearly 75% of the senior cohort opted in to prepare university applications in this way with our support every other day to honor the amount of time that it takes as well. We usually run a Week Without Walls program when it occurs in November, focused on senior university applications. We have workshops hosted by university counselors here at Nido, and we also take advantage of admissions experts who visit Nido to run workshops and programs when they visit, so stay tuned for those. So tons of resources, support, structured time on how to apply to university, no matter where in the world. And we are almost done here, and parents, this is just a special kind of cautionary tale for you as you might be feeling a little nervous about the work ahead. Don't worry, we're going to be there for your students all along the way. And for you, just know you don't have to figure out when you're going to find the time to do all of this work for your child. There will be enough time. We are going to see if, in fact, They can bridge the gap between what they say they want and the work they're willing to do for it. And if it's a good fit for them, this isn't about changing the student in order to fit some university target. It's about changing the target to fit the student. But remember, you are a spectator sport and a loving spectator at that. But nowhere do we ask you to do the work for your child, except, also use this caveat, is to understand your financial picture and the resources that you will have available to invest in their university education. The way that you can help your students is to avoid changing your mind at the last minute. Hijacking the process, as we lovingly call it, creates a great deal of stress for counselors and students alike. So it's really important to stay engaged and consistent and not changing your mind at the last minute. Don't need to nag. We're here to do that for you. And that's because we are this, third-party adult that can do that without necessarily the emotional baggage that parents and families have. We want you to enjoy this last year and a half with your child as they are choosing this amazing rite of passage to leave home and attend university away from the family. It's really important to not let your world from this point on, if it's revolve around this university research. This is just one important, but just one component of their growing up, their daily life, and to have something that feels kind of all-encompassing and overwhelming, and also in which they believe their self-worth is attached to, can be counterproductive and toxic at the end. And also through community building in our university counseling process, we are trying to minimize this aspect of competition. No question the university admissions process is selective, but we don't want to create a sense of competition, toxic kind of privacy and secrecy, but that everybody gets to run their own race. And when it's at their best. And we encourage parents not to kind of get drawn into this competing with friends about what it is that your child isn't doing. We assure you that there are so many ways for your child to thrive and become the next best version of themselves. And if you need some talking points around that, that's great. But really trust the process, trust your kids, have conversations and hear what it is that they believe will make them thrive in the university setting, and just really have an open mind. And this will help kind of manage the emotional context around this process well, if parents kind of take some of these things to heart. So what's next? We are just finished with our diagnostic testing program. Arbor Bridge is quickly trying to score these exams, and we will meet to help students know what to do with these results. And then semester 2, we do the full kickoff. We are excited to give you our undivided attention. We will orient students and families to Maya Learning. We will launch our flex time seminars. We will launch the semester-long University Quest research assignment process. We will engage in the junior tutorial process and help students move through the official standardized testing process. We are really excited to work with you, students and families alike, and we are here to help. We are available for questions starting next semester. Please let us know if you have any burning questions to get you over the hump now, but really looking forward to our process together, and thanks for listening.